Come on, bitch. Moving on out. So we're going to be talking about the AGNSW Dark Arts Curation months of screenings. I don't know, something feels like the movies that were chosen for the Dark Arts section are just like, you know, expressions and not just like, you know, show off aesthetic expressions, but they feel like actual personal ideas turned into images as opposed to just like what looks good, what looks cool. There's something about like the fact that there's the bushfires in the Blue Mountains, there's this energy shift in the air. Yeah. That kind of feels like this is the perfect time for these films to come about. And God, these films don't lie is the best way to say it. You wrote it down before in your book and I saw that line and I totally agree with it. Okay, you're distracting me with the camera.
Is it too much?
It's too much, yeah.
Okay,
I need your full attention.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Give it a clappity clap. This isn't Blair Witch.
Yet legend tells a different story.
I think these are all curated for the Me Too generation where it's like, believe women, and including superstition. Like, you're actually being a misogynist if you're telling women not to like be psychic and not to like figure out matriarchal lineage.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I think you're onto something and I think it's totally right. Do you think that this is like a subtle choice that the programmer has made, or do you think it's clear that all these films are about women not being believed and taking a stand with those films?
They're all kind of unbelievable. I think some of them are made by witches, like Julie Dash, who is studying, you know, African cinema, Russian cinema, and making Daughters of the Dust, and making it feel like an international film because it's so deeply immersed in the culture and like the language is so different, and you can see why it's just like ground roots. I mean, it's the first film by an African-American woman to get a wide theatrical debut in America.
When I lay in my mother's arms, I saw Africa in her face.
Little short film history class, there is a whole tradition of films being made by art house filmmakers of women running around being crazy. I mean, we got Tangerine 2015, Broad City 2014, Jeanne Dillman in the 70s, we got Daisies from the 60s, so many films. Smiley Face with Anna Faris.
Not enough films though, honestly.
If we're talking about people turning their brain thinking idea image paintings into movies, we got to talk about the other film that's on the lineup, which is a Pitcher Pong Weird film, Uncle Boo Me, Who Can Recall His Past Lives. This is a queer Thai director who just knows how to make dream films so fucking good. We're talking beautiful, mysterious, misty, moisty moments, a family having dinner outside on a veranda, and then a ghost appears in the form of like a past relative and gives them all these messages, and then the rest of the film is just sequences of things happening. There's a regal kind of, you know, royal woman getting her vag eaten out by this catfish in the water, and then, you know, cutaways to these monkey demons with red eyes just going crazy in a forest, and the dark art films just feel kind of like they wrap around you and they like engulf you like a wave.
The shots feel like they're casting a spell, like they are causing emotion.
Well, do you want to talk about the headliner, Happy's Lazzaro? Because I feel like that film kind of does both really well. I feel like Happy's Lazzaro is a storytelling film, but it's also a rapturous Lana Del Rey film. It's a poem film.
And they do like live on the streets trying to find edible weeds.
In Happy's Lazzaro.
I wonder if
they do.
I don't think.
No, I'm not gonna try.
Oh, jacarandas are out.
What I like so much, and tell me what you think of this, what I like so much about the dark arts selection at the AGNSW is that it feels like the generation that grew up on shit like Treehouse of Horror from The Simpsons, Billy and Mandy, Dark Cartoon Network, Donnie Darko, the people who were kids when those films were great are now older, and they're curating those types of movies so that people can get into that headspace. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know it's a dark arts movie? The entirety around the twist.
You hate Australiana.
I hate Australiana.
You couldn't do Celia.
But let me just say though, I think a good way to describe the dark arts film program at the AGNSW is that it's all films about haunted dimensions. And when you put on an Ariana Grande mask, it's not a haunted dimension at all.
You don't think this is haunted? This is Celia to me. Celia, it's the Australian movie by Anne Turner. Should have had a crazy career. And it's about a little girl who wants to keep her rabbit, even though rabbits are pests and like killing the Australian countryside. And then she makes friends with a family whose mums are communist. I know I'm just describing the plot. She's not allowed to play with them. And because of the fascism and the fear of like her not being able to do what she wants, she turns into a murderer.
Hate to silence you, turn to the camera and describe that film in 2 words. 1, 2, 3, Donnie Darko. Why should the people go to the dark arts films of the AGNSW? One main reason should be, you know, just to go see Bedeviled, the first film by Tracy Moffat, which famously marked the first time that female Indigenous directors were being able to, make feature-length films and take them to Cannes and take them to like the screens.
The thing
anyway,
is we've got to be careful about saying first.
Exactly. No, of course, I agree. I mean,
and I think that's what they're kind of talking about.
Truly, I mean, what is the first of anything? Can we even say that there was the first of anything? My thing is that like maybe it was the first mainstream film directed by an Indigenous woman in Australia, but you know what? Who actually knows what's being made underground in the garrets? We can't talk about spooky dark arts films without talking about the Czech New Wave, Daisies, Vera Titilova. There are so many films that are classically. We can roll on the ground in a hot sec. Then there's also some classics in there as well that people have seen, but they want to revisit, like the new Suspiria, Chloe Grace Moretz stars with Dakota Johnson.
André, it's the old Suspiria.
Why will no one have the balls to show the new Suspiria? It's all I asked for.
I know. I guess it was just out in cinemas, But so was Happy as Lazaro.
Okay, before we get onto that though, I started watching Daughters of the Dust, and I know that you're obsessed with it. It looked a bit 80s to me, and you knew me in the 80s.
I know.
Don't hate me, I just report the news. I can't do 80s. But tell me about Daughters of the Dust because you're obsessed.
I've watched it twice now. I knew about it because it was what Lemonade was all based on.
Is that how you knew about it? Are you lying?
No, I'm not. That's how I knew about it.
You knew about that reference.